everyone, welcome back to the MCC, and today very excited because we are welcoming back Mr. Phillip DeBella. It's been probably a good 6-7 months since we last spoke, and a lot has changed for Phil. Phil is, for those who don't know, Phil is the founder and MD of the Coffee Commune. He's also the world's youngest recipient of Italian knighthood, so I thought I'd embarrass him again and mention that. Great to have him on. So Phil, welcome. Thanks so much for joining us.
No, thanks for having me, Zahir, and congrats on the show. It's been going strength from strength. So from the first time I was on it, and I've been following it. So well done.
Thank you, sir. It's and as I've said, it's because we've had some great people on the show like yourself. So thanks again. But so talk to me. What's been happening? So last we spoke, I remember you were touching on the fact that you were putting something together in Bowen Hills, and now, fast forward, we're here and it's already been launched. And how's it all gone? So tell us, what was the launch date and what's been happening?
Yeah, so we launched today. We finished our second week of operation, and it just goes to show how quickly time flies. Because last time we spoke, it was an idea in construction, and it had 5 stages to it, and it's so complex. And the best way to explain it, and I will explain it, but I say to people, go to our website. It's one of the reasons why we spent $500,000 on our website, so coffeecommune.com.au, because it's 4 businesses in one. And if I had to sit here and explain it in depth, it would take up 2 shows, not one. But in short, Coffee Commune is a brand. It's a facility. It's not a coffee. It's a facility where we can bring all the people in our industry together to collaborate. So it's where the community comes to collaborate. So it's about community. It's about collaboration. It's a ecosystem. So whether you're a coffee enthusiast, a barista, a cafe owner, a coffee roaster, or a supplier to somebody in the industry, we are an ecosystem. We have something for everyone, and it's got 4 businesses. So we're a green bean business called International Coffee Traders is one part. And we tailor to anyone from small coffee enthusiasts wanting to buy a kilo of green to roast it at home, right through to people buying container loads of coffee.
Okay.
The second business is a Coffee Alliance, which is all about a roasting facility. So again, roasting 1 kilo of coffee for home as an enthusiast, right through to roasting many tons of coffee a week for chains of cafes. We do the whole lot. The point of difference is we roast it for you, or you can come and roast it yourself. And in that business, a lot of the people that have got roasting machines, we actually cater to breakdowns. So anyone, if their equipment breaks down, we can actually cater, they come and use. And we've had one of those a week since we've opened, because we opened that part of the business 3 months ago. And we've had about averaging 1 breakdown a week where someone breaks down. And instead of being out of business, they come and use our facility and we roast for them. The next part is the memberships, so the Coffee Commune memberships. And we have memberships from coffee enthusiasts right through. And for that membership, people get education. So we've got a learning academy, we've got a thought leader series, we've got an industrial relations hotline. We have events on, we invite them to product launches, we have market days, we have meet and mingles, and it's like a coffee chamber of commerce, which no one's ever done before. So it's like a coffee chamber of commerce just for the coffee industry, which is proving to be very, very popular. We've already had about 4 events in that space in 2 weeks. And then the fourth part is that we're open to the public. So I've made a retail private collection of coffees that are only available here at the facility or online in the next 4 to 6 weeks when we launch our e-commerce site. But that's only available for retail. So and then we've got a full decked cafe function space, where people can come in and have boardroom meetings and we cater for it, or they can have stand-up events. So this week we had 130 people stand-up event for Valley Chamber of Commerce. And then we backed that up with a 50-person breakfast the next morning for Young Presidents Organisation. So we did a birthday party last week for 20 people. We did the boardroom catering for 12. We can do all sorts of stuff. So that's the 4 businesses in one. Again, jump online at coffeecommune.com.au to see it, because it's so many moving parts, especially the memberships. Something really different, unique. But our brand propositions are here. As you know, I've known you for a long time. I always talk about what problem we're solving, what's our why. Yes. Our why is simple: to accelerate people's potential. That's it. So whether it's a coffee enthusiast wanting to make better coffee at home or upgrade their coffee, or whether it's a supplier wanting new business, or a startup starting, we want to help people by accelerating their potential. So everything we do funnels down to accelerating somebody's potential. And that's what makes this business quite rewarding and unique for me, is that, and people say, why have you got so much energy and what are you driven by? I'm driven by the fact that I can see people grow their business, or I can see them being better today than yesterday, tomorrow better than today, which starts to sit in with all the values that I've had over the years in helping people firstly be the best versions of themselves. And of course it all starts with me. So even today, this morning, I've been in washing dishes, serving customers, and obviously people's faces sort of walk in and go, what are you doing on the tools? Well, I build every business exactly the same way from the ground up. And then what was even more beautiful, half an hour later, my children rock up, 13 and 11, and they've got their uniforms on and off they go. They're washing dishes, clearing tables, serving people, and learning all the great skills that are very, very important in life.
That's absolutely priceless to see your kids doing that, at an early age. And I think from last time we spoke, that was something that your father had instilled at you at a young age too. Is that correct?
Correct. I mean, can I say it's invaluable for kids to learn hospitality skills, and because they're life skills. Hospitality skills are life skills. Learning how to clean, how to serve people, how to cook. These are the things you don't have to be in that industry when you get older, but these are things you got to do at home: cook, clean, look after yourself, be independent. But the people aspect, and I do a lot of speaking these days, as you know, and I spoke to 100 of the top executives in More Australia this year. So they got them together and they said, I'm going to put a top 100 in front of you, and we want you to really tell them about people. We want you to explain to them, and give them a bit of a shock. So I opened up the speech with, you are the top 100 in this organization because you're brilliant at financial services. But unless you're brilliant with people, it doesn't mean a thing, right? It doesn't matter what skills you have. Is if you're not good with people, then you don't win. And I said, very simple. If all 100 of you tomorrow stopped working, your clients will just find somebody else to go to. Right? Because if all your servicing is financial services and you close, then they just go and find somebody else, PwC, BDO, they go and use another financial services company. But if you have an emotional connection, if you've built relationships with these people, they're going to find replacing you a lot more. And when we sold DeBella Coffee, which is obviously what was my stroke to stardom, from startup to the biggest in the country, and then I sold it. DeBella Coffee, if it was about coffee, would have gone bankrupt because there was 3,000 people selling coffee.
That's right.
We were the number one people company. We made it about service, and so much so that when we sold, right, and the new owners decided to change the model and change the value proposition, people couldn't replace them. They're ringing me saying nobody in the industry offers the level of service, the level of commitment, the level of service products that you do as a company. Where can I find someone that replaces you? And there's not, which says a lot about the industry, because you would have thought somebody would have picked that model up. And if you think about it, the Coffee Commune now does that. The Coffee Commune turned it around and said, if you're looking at starting a cafe or you're looking at being in the industry, whatever it is, you don't even have to buy coffee from us. Come to us and we can help you accelerate your potential. We can hook you up with shop fitters. We know what permits you need. We can get you lawyers, accountants, branding specialists, social media contacts. We can do all of that and fast track you going from zero to hero very quickly. And of course, the buying power is priceless, because being the biggest in the country, I've got amazing supplier networks where I get the best prices in most areas. And now they've passed that on to the startups. So yeah, a bit of a snapshot, and obviously lots of excitement. And I tried to give a little bit of nuggets there of things that help. And people is what it's all about. You've got to be an expert with people, and I'm far from an expert, but I'm learning every day to get better and better.
It's brilliant. I want to go back to something you said as well with regards to kids. That's something I can relate to on, aside from the love of soccer and football and helping people. Is my very first job when I was 14 and I think 10 months of legal age was a kitchen hand at a cafe in Toowong Village, in Brisbane. So, and that, when people ask me, where did you learn most? What was the job that you learned most, life skills? It was actually that, being a kitchen hand, learning how to peel potatoes, clean up and do all these things. When it came to living on my own and getting out in the big world, I already had all those skills. I didn't need anyone to teach me, so I definitely commend you for, passing that on to your kids. What I also want to talk about is, the membership, like you mentioned, that really got my attention as soon as you mentioned it, because I remember I was someone that actually grew up in hospitality, working in restaurants, cafes, in South Bank and Brisbane, all over. Then I got into the corporate world, but there was a time in my life where I was dabbling with the idea of opening a cafe, opening a restaurant or something like that. And there was always that fear. I ended up, like I said, getting into the corporate world, but I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that are dabbling with the idea of opening a coffee shop. but there's that fear factor of, well, how do I do it? How do I start up? Do I have enough money? You know, can I get someone to teach me? Because most people in a lot of industries, that when you open up a business, they don't necessarily want you to succeed, because you know there's that attitude of, there's a lack mentality. They think that you might take some of you know, their clients and their business. But the fact that you've got something set up there for people who are starting a business is, that for me, that, like I said, that really got my attention. And I think there'll be a lot of people, and you've already said that that's already working out quite well. Yes.
Yeah, we're at, I think at the end of this week, I wanted to be at 100 members by the end of this year. At the end of this week, they're at 65.
Wow.
So yeah, they're doing amazing. And, you know, and because I've said to them, getting the membership's one thing, and then making sure we can add value. So, you know, we've put a lot of programs in place. And as I said, the website, go to the website, because it explains it beautifully what you get. And I've set a internal target. If we don't, we've got to deliver a minimum of 10 times that value. So a supplier pays us $2,000 a year to be a member. We've got to be at least $10,000. You know, $10,000 is nothing. We need to be at, you know, $20,000 return for them. So if it's not a 10-time return, and in a lot of places, like I'll give you an example. One of our members is a cafe, a coffee roaster, and pays $1,000. So a coffee roaster is $1,000 a year, and we found them cups, ceramic cups that they give to their clients for free. We saved him $7,500 a year in hookup. Another person, we saved them $2,500 on a machine. So, you know, one of the shop fitters just landed a big job worth, you know, $1 million because we introduced him. So he's going, shit, my $2,000 is, you know, I'll be a member for life. So these are the stories that we love, because the other thing we do is we vet them. If we can't add value to them, we don't want their membership, because the membership dollars is not a lot, right? Because we pay the Learning Academy's worth. So I'll give you an example. The most famous customer service program in the world that I've used for 20 years is called Fish. So from Pike's Fish Market. So Steve London.
Yes.
One of the, yeah, and it's if you chose that course to put your staff through, it's $500 a person. Right? If you're a member of the Coffee Commune, you do that for nothing. It's part of your membership. It's available online. You know, so if you got a cafe and you pay $1,000 a year, and you can put your 10 staff through that program, that's $5,000 that you've just saved. Plus, you've got industrial relations hotline. So, like next week is Easter. People ring up, say, "What are the legal rates? What are the hours? What you know? What should I be paying people? Hey, I'm having trouble with a staff member. How do I remove them? You know, how many sick days? How many holidays?" So. If you do that with a lawyer, it's $300 to $500 every time you call.
Correct.
So, you know, it's the price of it doesn't depict. It's all about value. So I say to people, you know, if you don't think you're going to find value, if you don't think you need an IR hotline, you don't want people to do courses and mindset, because the courses are around mindset, mind health. They're around financial, they're around marketing, they're around digital. They're spread across all different regimes, because my three loves are people, opportunity, and education. Right, that's the three passions I have, that Alan talks about in the book Entrepreneurial Intelligence, when he wrote about DeBella, and he wrote about, you know, it's Alan Bonsall wrote Entrepreneurial Intelligence. Yes. He talks about the passion, and through that process I got to discover that's my three passions: people, opportunity, and education. And the Coffee Commune gives me the avenue to actually put those three things into play. The Coffee Commune is all about people, opportunity, and education. So, you know, and my wife pointed that out to me the other week. She goes, the reason you love this project so much is because it really ties into your three passions, you know, of people, opportunity, and education. And I thought, yeah, you're right, 100%. I get so excited. So I used to get excited, and I still do, when we get a new customer that we supply coffee to. Love it. I get excited. Now I get excited when someone comes and tells me and says, "Hey, I landed a new customer, or I just landed this account, or I landed that," or "Hey, I was able to save $5,000 in one of your suppliers," or "Hey, I just got finance from one of your members that I couldn't get finance." You know,
it's much more satisfying, isn't it?
Oh, it is. It's and that's a human brain. You know, most people like helping people. That's the human element. We get a satisfaction and a joy. And that's why people give to charities. And I say to people, don't be upset. Don't say, "Oh, I give to charities without anything in return." That's bullshit, right? I give to charities for no financial thing in return. I give to charities because it makes me feel good, because I'm helping somebody, right? And I say, it doesn't matter what you give, $1, or it doesn't even have to be money. Give time, right? So like I do a lot of mentoring with schools and so I go and speak at schools. I don't charge them. I go speak at universities. I don't charge them. If I go speak at corporates, I get them to donate that to a charity. I say to them, they'll say, what's your speaking fee? And I say, hey, it's $2,000 for me to come and speak, but I don't want the money. Pick a charity. What's your charity Red Cross. Well, you write a check for $2,000 to the Red Cross. You're donating to them. I'll come and speak for your donation to them. So, and of course, if they're a school or a university, I don't ask them to donate to anything because I'm not going to speak for the money. I'm going to speak to try and help somebody accelerate their potential. And for the corporates, obviously, the money just puts a value on it, and it does something to help somebody, right?
Yeah.
So, it's quite entrepreneurial thinking, and I don't like the word entrepreneur. It's entrepreneurial intelligence. It's a different way to think about it. Hey, I don't want the money, but I've got to put a commercial value on my time for corporates. So, hey, let's get them to do something good with it and give it to a charity. So,
I love it. So walk me through, I rewind back a few years, I think it was 2017, you sold the DeBella group, correct?
Yeah, correct. I sold DeBella Coffee, yeah.
The DeBella Coffee, sorry. And then I think you were involved for a while. I think you've already answered this question, but what inspired you? When did the idea come about for, all right, let's put this together, and why did that come about? Like, what did you find that there was that missing element when you were in DeBella Coffee?
Yeah.
And you went on to go, oh, well, I want to do something more for the community. Is that
yeah.
right?
I've got an overactive brain, right? So
I haven't noticed.
Yeah. So two things. I'm always thinking, it's like going to the gym or boxing or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So I'm always thinking, I'm always exercising the brain. I'm reading case studies of what doesn't work. I like to read stories about things that work, which is great, but you learn more from things that don't work. So all this sort of stuff. So, and then the second thing I love doing is I like looking at the landscape 3 to 5 years ahead.
Good.
What's the industry look like in 3 years? Where is it going in 3 years? And that was one of the reasons why we sold. So when we got to 2014, which is when we first signed the share purchase agreement and then did a 3-year transaction, right? I looked at the landscape and I said, we've grown to be the biggest in the country, but the market now is going to change. It's going to go to local manufacturers. It's going to be a lot more people, wanting to build their own business. So it's time to exit. And we did. And what's happened since 2014 when we signed the first share purchase agreement and then I exited in 2017? You fast forward, there is now over 3,500 different little micro roasters all roasting coffee. And so a couple of years ago, I looked at it and I said, well, what's next? Right? What's the cycle? And it's not sustainable. These roasters, so 90% of people roasting coffee produce under 1,000 kilos a week. To give you an idea, when I sold DeBella, I was doing 40,000 kilos a week, right? So what I thought is the next 3 years after this, and COVID has sped this up, but I looked at the landscape and I went, 3 years' time, all these people are out there roasting their own coffee. That's not going to be enough. That's not going to be a point of difference. You fast forward to today, they spend 4 days a week roasting coffee, 1 day a week with their customers. So the model I've built is one of the problems it solves is go and spend 4 days a week with your customer and come and roast 1 day a week. The next problem is the capital intensive. So at a bare minimum, I can help a roaster that decides to shut down their facility and work with us, $140,000 a year minimum saving, because they don't need a building, they don't need the repayments on the capital equipment, and they get rid of at least one staff member. So that's a minimum of 140,000. So if a roaster's producing 500 kilos a week, they'll be lucky to be making $100,000 to $150,000 a year wage. I can double that by them closing the facility and coming here.
That's so good, dude. So
you go from treading water or making a little bit of money to making more money without the risk. No infrastructure costs, or the rest of it. The next thing we did is, well, what about these? And I got caught in this. What about if my equipment breaks down? Because everyone's a competitor, so no one wants to help you, or very limited people are going to help you. So you got nowhere to go. So that happened a couple of times when my equipment broke down. You have to produce at 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning, or you have to ring your customer and say, look, your order's going to be 2 days late because our equipment's broken. We just had one now, big customer, for 4 weeks, their equipment's out of action. They're coming to roast here. He said, you've just saved our business and they're a big customer. He goes, 4 weeks out of action, they're going to go and find a new supplier. So I started to look at all these problems, and I wrote an article many years ago when it was BRW, before they actually put it into a digital format, taking a machine gun to your business, and not literally, but having a look at where all the holes are in your business and saying, how can I solve them? How can I solve them? So what I did is I looked at the industry and said, where are all the bullet holes in the industry, and what can I do to solve these problems? And the answer came back is build a facility. Now, but the facility to solve all these problems had to be a green bean business, a manufacturing business, a venue space, and an education hub. And fast forward, that's what the Coffee Commune is. So, it's been 3 years of vision. It's been 12 months of extremely hardcore work by me and many others, not just me, my wife, our general managers. We've got 4 general managers, a general manager for each business unit. They have been absolutely amazing. Their teams have been amazing. So like our retail team has only started 2 weeks ago, and they were given 2 briefs. Don't stuff up customer service and make sure the coffee's perfect. Everything else we can deal with. The toast is undercooked, cook it more, the muffin's not big enough. We can handle that.
Yeah.
Don't stuff the service, don't stuff the coffee. And the biggest compliments over the last 2 weeks has been coffee's amazing, service is unbelievable. So everybody's done. To me, that's what success looks like. Because as you know, the way I've always talked about, I don't operate any business I've owned, and I've owned plenty, China, India, New York, Sydney, Melbourne, everywhere, roasting warehouses, different brands, Elixir Coffee. I built Elixir. I was the founder of Elixir, and then sold it to my wife's cousins who are actually, done a good job. They've expanded it and grown it. But so I haven't been a one-trick pony. I've built the roasting warehouse in Sydney, Melbourne, WA, which is now still good businesses, right? I don't own them anymore, but they're a business. So, there's a lots we've done, but I've always followed the same model. The target is never about the money. The process is, if you get it right, then the financial reward should mirror the effort. The result will be the money. So, whereas a lot of people set targets around dollars, I don't set targets around dollars. Money is a byproduct of getting the process right. If you get the journey right, the destination is a financial reward.
It's funny you brought that up. I wanted to ask you about that because I saw one of your social media posts recently. You were basically telling people do not chase wealth.
Correct.
Anyone who doesn't know you, I knew what you meant, and it all made sense. I think most people would get it, but there's some people that might think, what's he talking about? This guy's made millions, blah, blah, blah. He's built multi-million-dollar companies. How can he say that?
Yeah.
What would you say to that?
Well, so it's the same attitude I had when I was 11 years old, 12 years old, because I was the son of migrants, right? So my dad earned $450 a week. So I was brought up by a family who earned $450 a week. That's just one of my kids' school fees today. One of my kids' school fees costs $450 a week. $26,000 a year. So $450 doesn't even cover it. So my kids $26,000 each a year for school fees, plus, right?
Yeah.
But my dad brought up a family of three kids on $450 a week. So it was drummed into me from a young age that it's not about the money, it's what you do with the money. And no different with governments. Government doesn't make money, it collects everybody's taxes. Now, it doesn't matter if they collect a billion, 100 billion, or a trillion. If they don't manage it right, then it's never going to be enough. So to answer the question is, one, it was drummed into me from a young age that if you don't know what you're doing or how to spend your money, it won't matter how much money you make.
Okay.
Right? Which is point one. Point two is you don't live your life and value your life in the accordance of how much your budget is. Because my dad had a $450 a week budget, yet my childhood memories are amazing, right? Family around the table, eating, drinking. But what? What did they not have? They never had a brand new car. We never went on holidays. But I had an amazing life. Now, I know a lot of people that have got brand new cars, go on holidays, and they've got miserable lives.
Correct.
And that is my point when I put a post up like that, to remind people that you don't measure a person by the amount of money. And I know a lot of wealthy people that are miserable because it's never enough, you know. And I know someone who's worth 50 million that's like that. I know someone who's worth 200 million, and it's the same thing. Doesn't matter what dollar value they have or how much money is in their bank account. We all know people that are not happy, and vice versa. We know people that have very limited funds that are extremely happy. And so a post like that is to remind people that you don't measure a person by what's in their bank account. You don't measure or value a person based on money, because that is all material. You know, we just recently sold our house in New Zealand for a record amount. And people were like, "Oh, how could you get rid of it?" I said, "Because we're not using it. It's time for somebody else to enjoy it." "Oh, don't you feel sad?" "No, because somebody else is enjoying it. Somebody else is having fun with it. Oh, did you sold your car? Did you take photos of it? What for?" I don't get connected to material things, because material things don't measure who I am. So yeah, and someone will say, "Oh, that's easy because you would," but I didn't grow up driving nice cars. I grew up in a house, right, that was smaller than my garage at home now.
Yeah, I can relate.
But I had an amazing upbringing. I had a beautiful upbringing. I still love the house. I actually could go past once a year. I'll drive past where I grew up. I take my kids there and have a look, and they go, and I say, "Yeah, it's a tiny house, big yard, but it was in a." You know what I loved about it? It was in a cul-de-sac. It was in a no-through road. It was in a street. That was no-through road. So I loved it. I said to the kids, "I wish I could have bought. We could buy a house like this in New Farm because my wife wants to live in New Farm. That is a no-through road because you could play out in the, on the street, and you can play cricket on the street. You can play with the other kids in the street. All these beautiful community things that mean so much more than burying your head in an iPad or going to an amazing school. Now, they don't go to their schools because they're expensive. They go to those schools because they deliver what the kids want to do. Like Ali's into sport and academics, so the school he goes to is perfect for that. My daughter loves arts, creatives, maths, and science, so she goes to a school that really is strong in that. We didn't pick those schools because they're expensive. We didn't pick the schools because they're a brand. We picked the schools that the kids wanted to and are happy with. And we actually, when we picked schools, we picked two. We enrolled them into two each, so that they had a choice on which one they wanted to go to. So, it just things like that. It's just looking at it with a template that says, I say this, and some people think it's morbid. Every day we get closer to one day being in a box.
Yep.
Right? So it's a privilege to be alive, right? When people say, "Hey, going today," I'm on the right side of the ground. Because unfortunately, we know a lot of people that aren't, and the wealthiest place in the world is a cemetery. Because the amount of intelligence and smarts and wealth and everything else that passes away goes to the same place. Whatever you believe in, one day we're not going to be here anymore. And you know what really drives me is values. And what a great way to understand what your values are is write your own eulogy.
Yeah.
So when you pass away and someone's going to stand up and talk about you, what do you want them to say? They're not going to say, "I was the calmest, I was the nicest, I was so sweet and gentle." That's not what they're going to say about me. They'll say he was honest. They'll say he was very generous with his time. He was generous with his money. He loved having a good time. He loved having people around him. He was in your face. He was abrupt. He would tell you what you needed to hear, not what you wanted to hear. These are the things they're going to say, right? I know that, and I'm okay with that. That's why I'm comfortable. I don't need people to say, "You're so lovely and gentle and sweet." That's not me, right? I want people to say, "You're always there when I need you."
Yeah.
Hey, you when you promise one, you deliver two, right? I don't owe anyone any money, right? I pride myself on, I buy something, I say to people, "Where's the invoice? I need so I can pay it." "Oh, we'll send it to you." Send it quickly, right? So these are the things that I pride myself on, right? So I know myself, and I use that theology of what do I want people to say when I'm not here anymore. So, and that helps you understand what your values are and what really matters to you.
Brilliant. Two more questions, because I know we don't have much time left. One thing is with COVID, how did that impact what you were doing? I mean, obviously, I don't think it put things on hold for you, but did it drive you more when you saw businesses that were, people going out of business? Did that really motivate you even more?
No, what it did was two things. It made me slow down.
Okay.
It made me slow down and realize that, I already knew the importance of it, and we all do, but we just don't do it. Spend more time with the family doing simple things.
Yes.
So we all understand the importance of it. Everyone that's listening to this will go, "Of course we know it's important." COVID forced us to do it, right? When you're in lockdown, and especially, the poor people of Melbourne were in lockdown a lot longer, you're forced to slow down and spend time at home, right? And I loved it. Now, most people did. Some people didn't, right? I loved it. You know what I love? I was cooking every day. Every day I was cooking. I was cooking with the kids. I was cooking with the wife. We're probably drinking too much wine because you're drinking every day and you're drinking at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. But it forced you to slow down. And I realized and I fell in love with it so much so that I started a new business and I'm like, go, go, go. But I spend time with the family, and next week on school holidays, I'm away with the kids for 2 weeks, right? And my wife, 2 weeks away. That's not going to change. So COVID forced me to slow down, do different things, do simple things.
Yes.
And it made me discover that I loved it. And so I'm going to keep doing it.
Good.
The other thing COVID did, and I've always said this, again, we know this, but we don't do it, is when things are going good, you need to plan for hard times. Because when things are going good, plan for the hard times. Because when the hard times happen, you can plan for good. So I was fortunate that through COVID, and as I said, no one got any wealthier in COVID. Everybody took some sort of financial hit. Doesn't matter how much money you got, no one got wealthier. If you got wealthier in business, for whatever reason, you got less wealthier if you got property. Right? Because somewhere everyone took a hit, whether it was, collect less rent, the business not operating, or they're not collecting wages, and it's all levels. Some people lost their jobs. No one was any financially better off under COVID.
Except for toilet paper manufacturers.
Yeah, well, that's right. Well, not really. You know why? Think of it actually. I didn't use any more toilet paper because I didn't go to the toilet more often because I had more toilet paper. And this is what people didn't realize. This is how stupid it is, right? Toilet paper manufacturers, all it did was speed up how much they had to produce.
True, yeah.
But at the end of the year, you're still going to use the same amount of toilet paper. Right? True?
Yeah.
So this is how lateral my brain works. You're not going to go and get the shits more and use more toilet paper because it's COVID, right? It's just that people panic.
Yeah.
But, what it made people do and realize is that you have to plan for bad times when things are good.
Yeah.
Right? Because, like I said, my favorite is this at the moment. Everyone will know this, right? With real estate. Real estate's going crazy, especially in Queensland, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because we're getting 10,000 people a week moving to Queensland, It's gone nuts, right? 20 to 40% increase in real estate property. Now, the agents are all walking around like they're top shit. Well, we all know it's 2-3 years ago, the market was like this. And they're all on the phone being nice to people. Can I help you? Can I help you? Now you ring the agent, they don't want to talk to you because they're too busy.
Yeah.
They're not planning for the bad time.
Yeah, good luck.
Build the relationships when things are good so that when things go to shit, you're covered. So that's one of the key advices out of this interview that I can give listeners is, we know the importance of things, but COVID has forced us to recognize and be part of it. It forced me to actually get in and spend time cooking, spending more time with my wife, my children, slowing down, but more importantly, doing simple things, not big ticket things. Mm. And on the other side, it highlighted the importance of, for others, because I always believed in this, when it's times are good, plan for bad, but it helped me spread that message to others. You need to understand that we will come out of this, right? It's not going away. We'll come out of it. We'll come out of it if you've got the right planning and mindset, stronger, better, and you'll be planned for the next one because there will be a next one, right? There'll be something that will happen, whether it's another virus, whether it's a drought, shortage of water.
Well, I'm down in New South Wales right now, and the floods. There's always something going on that really just shocks people's and wrecks people's lives in a way. So there's always something around the corner.
Right. And then the best way to do it is, it's called scenario planning, right? Mm. Scenario plan. You need to be able to, and I was very honored. I'm part of the Young Presidents Organization, which is a global organization, YPO. Mm. And I got to actually interview globally. I was the interviewer for the global event of Peter Schwartz.
Oh, wow.
Now, Peter Schwartz is a futurist. He's one of the world's most renowned futurists. He wrote the Minority Report and stuff like that. And it was all about scenario planning. And what that did is it cemented for me, the concept of always trying to take a situation and map out the different things that could happen. And then tie into what I talk about, get comfortable with the worst possible scenario and move ahead. So you need to scenario map. You need to sit down and map and say, if I go this way, what can happen?
Very good. We touched on Melbourne and Victoria. I spent, I think, 3-4 years living there. I think I bumped into you there once in the city, and I have a great appreciation for hospitality. So they've got amazing restaurants, food there. Remind me a lot of Europe when we were down there. But so I just want to touch on this, and I apologize if you already answered it. People who are outside of Brisbane, can they connect with you and take these courses? Yes. Yeah,
of course. So jump online, coffeecommune.com.au, and you'll see that a lot of the courses. So I say to people, if you're interstate, then you don't need to join up as a top bit. You can join as a coffee enthusiast, which is $300 a year. And that will let you you'll get discounts on coffee if you want to buy coffee. But even if you don't want to buy coffee, the $300 a year will give you access to the learning courses that you could, because all the learning courses are online. So there's over 100 learning courses online that you can buy into. So if you're an Interstate cafe owner, I say to people, you don't have to join up at $1,000 a year. You can join up at $300 under a coffee enthusiast membership, and you still get access to things. So because eventually, we've been asked this. I don't want to own another one, but I am happy, and I'm already talking to people, or people are talking to me. I've just told them to slow down, to open many of these around the world. But where I sell the license and then take a clip back, a revenue clip. But for that, obviously, we hand over the blueprints and we train them and we give them all the content and stuff and keep them updated, because the coffee commune concept can work anywhere in the world that is. Coffee lovers need space because it consolidates 50, 100 roasters into one venue, right? Need education, support, and guidance. So, South Korea, China, India, America, to name a few, these are all countries where a coffee commune concept would happen. So anywhere there where the country loves coffee, it's emerging, it's got space problems, because it consolidates. One of the biggest things it'll do for somewhere in China or India or South Korea is, this is a 2,000 square meter facility, right? Now, but this 2,000 square meter facility can house 100 roasters. Now, one roaster needs a minimum of 200 square meters to operate, minimum. So you can do the maths and you see it consolidates so many into a space, and then add on the education, the buying power, and all the rest of it. So eventually we'll probably see one of these in Sydney, Melbourne, WA, if somebody wants to do it, and I have already been approached, but they're not cheap, This facility with the buildings included is $20 million.
Yeah.
If you didn't own the buildings, you won't get change out of $5 million to do something like this, right? And that's on a small scale. I mean, the equipment in this place is worth more than that because we've got a lot more stuff. But you couldn't build a commune for under $5 million, and that would be very, very basic, very basic.
Love it. Last question I have for you.
Yeah.
How is Mr. Phillip DeBella different from the person that sold DeBella Coffee 4 or 5 years ago?
I've got more time to help others.
Okay.
Yeah. So I've got more time to help others. I've got more time to accelerate people's potential. And that's where. So I don't like really the word different. It's how have I evolved?
Evolved.
I believe every day is about evolving, better than yesterday. I've evolved where I now make sure that I get rid of the peripheral noise, right? Things that take 1 minute to explain, things that used to take 5 minutes to explain, I've learned how to explain it in 1 minute. So much so that when someone else is explaining something to me, I'll say to them, can I have the short version, please? And it's not me being rude, it's because your brain's like a laptop and you can't overload it, because I find as I get older, your patience does get, your memory gets shorter, your patience gets shorter, your bandwidth gets shorter. So the best way to do that is to limit the noise that's coming in. So I'll say to people, just tell me what I need to know, or tell me what you want me to know, but forget the rest. So like I've got no time for people that want to whinge and bitch about other people, or whinge and bitch but don't want to do anything. I've got no time for it. So I've got rid of a lot of the peripheral. So that's, which therefore means it gives me more time for people that matter, So.
And just to summarize, so find ways to be of good service to people and plan for tough times is the main things you want to get across, yes? Correct.
Definitely. You've got to be in service to people in life. There's a great book by Bob Berg that says it's the Go-Giver. It's called The Go-Giver. It's a small book, one of the best books you can ever read and give. I've given out bloody hundreds of copies, The Go-Giver. And it talks about being in service to people. Be in service to people. If you learn to be in service to people, then things happen. And be in service not because you expect something back from that person, because it doesn't necessarily have to come back from that person. It'll come back from the vibrations, and it'll come back from what other people see you doing. So yeah, being in service is definitely number one. But scenario planning is right up there. Being scenario plan, map out worst case scenarios, things like that are so important.
Phil, we really appreciate your time. We'll have all the links below for Coffee Commune and where people can find you and help. But yeah, thanks so much for spending time with us.
Hey, thank you. Congratulations on what you're doing. And I hope everyone goes out there and be the best they can be.
Brilliant. Love your work. Thanks, Phil.
Thanks, Ahir.
See you, mate.
See you.